or welcome back to Mindful Scrolling. I'm not going to do the little catchphrase this time because I'm still working on it, but you've got the idea. So today I have a special guest on the podcast, my husband Philip.
Hi. I am Philip.
You've heard me talk about him if you've been following along on my podcast journey pretty much every single episode multiple times. And yeah, I thought it would be fun to bring him on today to have a chat. We haven't really discussed we've loosely discussed what we're talking about, but we haven't really planned it out, which again has just been kind of my formula or lack thereof.
I think that works best for you when you're allowed to just fluidly go into the ether and just pull whatever kind of thought.
Is that what it is? I'm
Sure.
just not, if I try to sit down and like strategize, I get overwhelmed.
I've seen you try to plan anything that involves speaking. It doesn't work. Now, you are maybe the best travel planner I've ever seen.
I was going to say.
So it's not that your handicap isn't that you can't plan. Your handicap is that you just don't always feel like you work best in just going straight into something.
Yeah, it really depends on what it is. That's why I didn't do well in school because I hated studying. But anyway, so I guess this week's formula is going to be a little bit different. I think we could both answer some of my little questions. I think like the morning moment for me, I honestly, do you have anything to say on that, Philip? Because I think we might be able to actually skip over that one this week.
Your morning moment.
Should we skip it? I think we maybe should skip it.
No. Let's see what we can pull out of this.
Okay. So for me, Philip went to work today. Explain a little bit about your work schedule so they understand why. Like sometimes, okay, so Philip can work from home like 50% of the time. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm allowed to work from home about 50% of the time. And that gives me a lot of flexibility, and then I'm on a schedule where I get, every other Friday off.
Right. So on the days that Philip goes to work, my morning does look a little bit more structured. And as we've talked about before, I do have a little bit of a morning routine. So if I were to say I had a morning moment today that was really like stand out, there really wasn't anything significant because I chose to take a kind of a lazy day, which is extremely rare for me. I'm usually like up and about doing something, and I have a list of things that I want to get done during the day, and honestly it was kind of nice to not really have anything on the agenda. So for me, I'm going to say that was my moment just because I actually allowed myself to relax, and I even watched TV.
That's that's quite a task for you.
I know.
Lazy days, you have it deeply seated in your mind that a lazy day is either I am completely accepting of the circumstances, or, and this is more frequent, I need to be doing something, or else I am being a terrible human being.
Right. I just feel like if I'm not doing something, that I'm being unproductive, and I'm like not just wasting my day, but like wasting my whole life.
Your philosophy on life changes. You begin critiquing every aspect of yourself.
Philip's really different because when you have the opportunity to have a lazy day, you take full advantage of it.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, so that was definitely like my morning moment, I would say. Did you have anything significant happen this morning, Philip?
I would say my morning moment, on my way to work, I did happen to see what looked like the beginnings of some kind of altercation on the road.
Is this a good? Morning moments are supposed to be positive.
I mean,
things.
It was positive for me. I don't think it was positive for the guys in the altercation. There's some kind of construction that, is going on my way to work, and
okay.
I mean, I'm assuming they're a part of the same crew, but these two guys in vests,
they
were just going at it. Like, I mean, slam the shovel on the ground, boot kicking. I can only imagine it's something
this is the
like
first I'm hearing of
incarnation, what in the world? But you know, maybe not that cartoony in reality.
Right,
but
right.
Yeah, that I would say that was probably my highlight. That, and then I had a excellent prayer time this morning.
Okay, that's more what I'm looking for.
Okay, sorry. Sorry.
What did you pray about?
I just prayed over like all the things that, you know, I feel like God is like directing us in, all the things he's directing me in, just asking him to like help me continue to feel comfortable with, you know, the idea of change.
Yeah.
I am a creature that does enjoy his habits.
This is true. We're very different in that way, I would say.
You know, the Lord doesn't tell us to fortify ourselves in those comforts. A lot of the times, you know, God wants us to be as uncomfortable as possible in order to work through us. So I'm praying, hey, just, you know, let's go ahead and rip this Band-Aid off.
I love that. Yeah, see, he's already getting deep. He's definitely like the philosophical side of our relationship.
That's what the Phil stands for.
That's what Phil stands for, philosophical. All right, so let's move on. Okay, so that was the morning moment. Drink of the week. I absolutely don't have one. I have had like stomach issues all week, so I really have not been able to be adventurous with my drinks. However, and this does have to do with drinking, Philip and I finally bit the bullet. Is that the expression? Bit the bullet?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we went to Target and got ourselves a Wallace.
So instead of what the sip of the
or the drink
week
of the
is,
week.
or drink of the week, it's
Cup of the week?
Yeah, instead of sip of the week or drink of the week,
accessory?
it is drink accessory of the week. We are now Awala people, just to like show up all of the Stanley folks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If my sister Maria and brother-in-law are listening to this, yes, we have been influenced and the peer pressure happened. Okay, so
I'm drinking of it right now.
Yeah, we both have ours with us right now. It's weird, guys. I don't know if it's just like a placebo effect, but there is something different about drinking out of one of these cups. We both find ourselves like in the evening when we're like relaxing, getting ready to like go to bed, like holding the cups and drinking out, like holding them like they're like a comfort object.
I feel like a grown toddler walking into work with my sippy cup.
Yeah.
My sippy cup that's like the size of it's insane. It looks like an artillery shell.
It feel so cool. But there is a story
Yours
attached
makes
to
you
it.
feel cool?
I feel so cool. Yours doesn't make you feel cool?
I'm still working on it.
Oh, I feel so cool.
I'm a little disappointed with the color.
I was going to say, to be fair, yours is a little boring. Mine is, you've got to admit mine is cool.
Like, mine's kind of like, oh, this was their first one.
Yeah, you know? Phillips is it gray?
It's a navy blue.
It is blue?
With
I couldn't tell.
white.
Yeah, and it does have like a green like little lid thing on it.
It's pretty sterile. It feels like it belongs in a hospital.
But mine, on the other hand, is creamsicle. It's this beautiful creamsicle orange with a pink handle, a pink lid. I feel amazing. I love it.
Bet you do.
I love it. But there is a little bit of a funny story that goes along with these water bottles, and I'll just tell it really, really quick, not to get on a big rabbit trail. So for like over a year now, I was carrying just like a standard water bottle. And, you know, we both drink a lot of water. That's just a very important part of our day. We actually
We thirsty,
and we know when we haven't had enough water during the day, and we talk about this like all the time.
Oh yeah. Well, we check on each other's like, hey,
how much water have you had?
Today?
Yeah. It's a little bizarre, but it's like one of our love languages.
Yeah, I think we've even like texted each other.
We have, yeah. So anyway, this water bottle does not fit my cup holder because it's just like your standard, like, you know, I don't know how many ounces, but it holds about 5 cups of water. It's just like your standard water bottle. And this thing likes to roll around my car, and it drives me crazy. So Philip and I are getting out of the car. We were doing just a little bit of bumming around the other day, and I forgot that I had the water bottle between me and the door, like sitting on my seat, and it flies out of the car on the passenger side, rolls under somebody else's car. It gets like wedged up. Oh, opens and spills everywhere, by the way. And gets wedged up under their tire. And so Phil, in his like dress clothes, because it was like Easter.
I took on the task of any gentleman.
Yeah, of course.
Any gentleman would do this. I knelt down in my fancy pants clothes,
right,
digging up underneath this fancy BMW.
A broom handle.
Yeah, with a broom handle trying to grab this thing.
Yeah, so that was...
While old women walking by gawked at me and saying, I think it's under the car.
Yeah, making their super helpful comments.
Yeah, it's just like, wow, I didn't notice as I'm in here jabbing the broom under there.
That the owner of the car didn't come by, because that could have been bad.
Well, what it really would have sucked is if they, got in the car and left, and we had, if we wouldn't have been able to get it. So it's
just like an aluminum bottle that might have popped their
tire.
Oh gosh, yeah. So that was the breaking point. I was like, look, we're going out. We're getting good water bottles that will fit in a cup holder, so this never happens again.
Problem solved.
And we chose the Awalas over Stanley. The reviews were better. Again, this is my sister and brother-in-law have influenced us to do.
Does bias play into this? Yes. But Probably. Do we care? No.
Absolutely not. And I think that we made a great choice. Did we spend $80 on water bottles? Absolutely we did.
I don't know if I would have said that bit, but okay.
I mean, it's not, everybody knows how much these things cost. Anyway. So let's keep going.
Yeah.
Obsession of the week. Definitely my Awala. 110% my Awala.
Sure.
We've talked about that enough. I'm going to quickly. Philip's not a reader, so he's not going to have much to say on this. Oh, wow. Sorry if you could hear that, guys. That was on my phone. But I'm going to quickly get into my reads of the week, because I did finish a couple of books. Let me pull up Goodreads, and I will not spend a lot of time on this section so we can actually talk about our topic. Mm-hmm. But I believe I finished 2. Yeah. I think I was talking about I was in the middle of reading Beautiful Ugly last week. I finished it. I only gave it a 3. It was just whatever. But I did finish The God of the Woods that I had on hold for actually 2 months. With my library, and I listened to that one on audio, and I honestly, I won't say I hated it, but it was way overhyped. I only gave it 3 stars. It really dragged. It was boring, kind of lackluster. Definitely more of a domestic psychological thriller, which normally I would really like, except it was just so freaking slow. It's the book is way too long. They could have cut out 200 pages out of that book and had a better story. So God of the Woods, it's by Liz Moore. And then today I just finished The Undoing of Violet Claiborne by Emily Critchley. That book was all easy 5 stars. All I'm going to do is quickly read you my review on Goodreads, because I think it describes it the best. I said, wow, what the heck did I just read? Easy 5 star. This was insane. The story was visceral and went down a path I totally didn't expect. Imagine Downton Abbey, but much more dark and sinister. I love the lyrical writing, how atmospheric and hauntingly beautiful the setting was. Caught me from the start and didn't let go. Seriously, some of the most evil, calculated, mind-bending stuff I've read in a while, yet somehow very real and raw. Excellent storytelling all the way around. The twists were awesome. The ragged pain I felt for Violet, the anxiety of how detailed and deep the lies went. I feel like all my 5-star reviews say this, but this is absolutely my top 5, if not the best book I've read so far this year. So, it was great. I feel like even if you don't like historical fiction, this is kind of a must-read, especially I don't want to give anything away, which is a really good book. You should go read it. And yeah, that's kind of my review.
I didn't read it, but she was glowing after reading it. So
yeah.
To any fellas out there, your wife might like it.
If you like dark, really dark, though. Historic, Downton Abbey, but dark.
Well, Sunshine
really
girls
dark.
like you, they always love dark stuff.
And I know we've talked about, that could be a topic in itself, why that is. We're still trying to come to a conclusion, because it does feel like a lot of women, especially, girly women, feminine girls, really like horrible, anxiety-ridden, killing people, murderous,
It's that shadow self
Books
coming out.
and movies. Yeah.
It's that darker side of you scratching at the walls saying, let me out, let me out.
I don't know what it is really, but okay, so that was kind of, that was it. That was all of my like little things for the week, all my little obsessions for the week. So let's go ahead and talk about today's topic, which is, and I'm really coming up with this on the fly here.
Okay.
But I want to talk about some of the things that we've learned as a couple in 2.5 years of marriage.
Okay.
And in a week, 4 years of knowing each other, right? Like being in a relationship.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 30th of April will be the official 4-year mark.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
I think people are shocked sometimes when they find out we've only known each other for 4 years because we're kind of best friends, and I think they just assume we've been together a lot longer.
I felt like that was a trait we had early on, though.
Yeah.
Like, we clicked very early.
Yeah, we did. So, a little bit of a background on how Philip and I met. We were both living in Greenville, South Carolina at the time. Mm-hmm. And we actually, and not too many people know this, and I'm going to say it because there's nothing to be embarrassed about. This is how a lot of people meet nowadays, but we met online.
She said it. Oh no.
Well, I think you actually told your parents you met me at Hobby Lobby because you were too embarrassed to tell them.
Yeah. No. Okay. So I fully own that. I did lie to my folks about that, really just because
that should have been a red flag for me.
I felt like that's the thing, though, is that my folks tend to have such a dense boomer mentality.
Oh, dang. They might listen to this.
That's okay. They know. They know.
Okay,
Lovingly,
that's
you
fair.
Guys have a boomer mentality.
Yeah, that's very
and
fair.
stuff like that, I feel may send a message like, oh, so it's like a mail order bride sort of thing?
That's the only way you can meet someone. What's wrong with you?
Wow, really?
But I'm not going to say
you
it
met her
works.
online? How'd you know she was a real girl?
And then there's me where I just like, after the first date, call my mom and immediately tell her like, I met this dude online and I think he might be the one. After the first date, guys. Yeah.
I heard that there may have been some tears in there.
There were tears because I was also really, really afraid. I was coming off of a bad relationship.
Oh, I thought it's because I was so intimidating. Sorry.
You're not intimidating. I was coming off a bad, like really, really, really toxic relationship. I had purposely chosen to be single I was trying to go for a year, but I think it was 10 months at that point, and I felt like I was ready to start dating again. And interestingly enough, I got on, we used Upward.
Yep.
I got on Upward, which is a Christian dating website, and I remember telling my friend Rebecca, who was my roommate at the time, that I was just getting on there to kind of see what was out there. I didn't want to seriously date anybody. And I mean, I was like dedicated to my singleness in that 10-month time frame. Like I had guys ask me out. I had opportunities to date, and I chose not to, and I'm really glad that I didn't, because there was a lot of internal work going on that God was doing in me during that time that I would not have been able to experience if I was dating or in other relationships, and then obviously I wouldn't have met Philip. But I got on Upward, and I was literally on there for 48 hours. And I think there was like one or two other guys that kind of tried talking to me, but there wasn't really a connection. And then there popped Philip, but Philip had super liked me.
Yeah, I think Upward gives you like one super
I don't know
like
what they
in
do
a
now.
blue moon.
It might be different now.
But at the time, like they'd give you like this super rare, super like resource.
Is Upward still around?
I bet it is. It has to be. I
haven't had any reason to look into that.
I've known a lot of people that have used it.
Should I link it in the show notes so that people can like use it if they want to?
And tell them they sponsored us, even though they didn't?
Yes!
Oh my gosh!
Hey, maybe they will sponsor us. That could be cool.
I mean, hey, let's see. Maybe you need to draft up an email.
Walmart tried sponsoring me today. I forgot to tell you.
Walmart tried sponsoring you?
Yeah, we'll talk more about that later.
Because you're such a big Walmart fan.
You know what? Do not sleep on Walmart clothes. I'm just saying, their clothing department has come up in the last like 5 or 6 years like hard.
Oh my gosh, don't even get me started on Walmart. I know I wasn't talking about it much before, but now, woo!
Guys.
I'll be fair.
The women's clothing.
The women's department clothing is super cute.
It's so good.
Now, Walmart, if you're listening, the fellas department, you guys need to get us out of this weird generational current we're in, because you either have us dressing way too young back in like the early 2000s,
which is not a
or
good
you have
look.
us dressed like old men,
old golfers. Yeah. I mean, I know we live like near Augusta, Georgia, and like golf is a big thing here, but not everybody wants to dress that way. You know. Anyway, what were we talking about? Yeah, Walmart. Plug for Walmart. We love them. Wooly World.
And Upward.
Oh, that's what it was. Upward. I was on there for 48 hours. Philip super likes me, which I clicked on his profile, and it had like the most like simple little bio. He's making muscles right now, whatever. It's like his bio was just kind of like, I like making silly faces and I love Jesus or something like that.
That's all it takes.
And I was like, okay, he's cute. And I was like, and he super liked me. Okay, I'll talk to him. And that was kind of it. He asked me out like 2 days later. Like we literally talked for less than 48 hours.
I think actually the first day of talking to you, I immediately asked you out for coffee.
You did.
And then you said, well, let's talk for a bit. And I actually really appreciated that.
I gave him a really hard time, too, once we started dating.
Yes, you did.
I would not accept being his girlfriend.
I would say that I was, I was eager.
He was very, like, right away, I think what stood out to me about Philip is the way he pursued me. If there are any single women out there listening right now, I don't want to be like, oh, I'm an expert on relationships and marriage because I'm married. I never want to be one of those people. But as somebody who did not get married and was single for a really long time, I did not get married until I was in my early 30s. And I had been in some serious relationships before then. Do not settle for a man who won't pursue you with, like, abandonment. Like, Philip pursued me, and he was never pushy about it. He was never, Philip doesn't have that type of demeanor anyway. He's not a pushy guy. But he was, he knew what he wanted, and that was really attractive to me. And he made me feel safe while doing it, though. And I think that's why I wanted to continue to explore getting to know him. However, I was definitely not going to be like, oh yeah, I'll totally be your girlfriend right now. I was like, let's see what this guy is made of first.
You put some red tape up.
I did. But I'm glad I did that, though, for my benefit. I think it drove you a little crazy.
Well, it did, because we literally had every every kind of categorical flag for what our relationship was, but you weren't my girlfriend for 3 months.
It wasn't 3 months. It was a month.
Like, she didn't let me
call... That is an exaggeration. It's not 3 months.
She did not let me refer to her as my girlfriend until about a month before I proposed to her.
Okay, he's exaggerating,
I'm
guys.
lying
He's lying about that. That is so not even true. I told him that if we continued seeing each other and our relationship progressed after a month, then I would consider letting him be my boyfriend.
I love how you say consider, like I'm still in a probation period.
You were.
That's nuts.
You were, but I didn't do it to be catty or manipulative.
I didn't have you in any kind of probationary anything.
It was so important for me, though.
Okay.
Because, and maybe I'll come on the podcast and talk about my story at some point. Maybe that's something you and I can even discuss together at some point.
Okay.
If people are... Why would you not be interested? Like, relationship drama is always interested, but
I think we're very interested.
No. My previous relationship was very emotionally and spiritually abusive. So, and you obviously know the whole story. So for me, it was very important to put up boundaries and make sure that I was being careful with my heart. And Philip did a really, really good job of taking care of my heart. Did he kiss me on our first date?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And the thing that was funny about it, and it was seriously like the most effortless date of my entire life. Like
it was pretty smooth.
So easy to be
It was the most successful
him.
date I've ever had. Clearly.
Yeah,
I mean, based on today.
Yeah. It was one of those things, you know how people tell you, like, oh, when you meet the one, you'll just know. And I was always like, but I've thought that about so many guys. With Philip, I think the reason I knew, and I think the reason I went home and sat on my front porch crying and telling my mom I think I met somebody really special, was because there was no anxiety involved. Like, from the very beginning. Philip was just easy to be around.
Thanks.
Yeah, but you okay, you said that about me as well.
You're very easy to be around.
Yeah, it was just like we clicked. And like, you know, it was obviously more than just friends. Like, there was also attraction there.
Yeah.
But, you know, he kissed me in the parking garage as we were about to leave, and then only after he kissed me did he step back and go, "Was that okay?" And I said, "No, but I mean, it happened, so I guess it's fine." So yeah, our relationship progressed pretty quickly after that. There was a moment where we almost broke up we call it Breakup Rock down by the waterfall in Greenville.
It's like Pride Rock, but for breaking up.
Yeah, I was still, and it wasn't really anything that Philip was doing. I think maybe I was like subconsciously testing you. I don't know, because I didn't even tell you until after that discussion.
I still think you do that, you little psycho.
I do not, but I didn't even tell you.
You watch me whenever I'm in the kitchen to see if I start putting stuff away.
This is true. That part is true. Yeah. Sometimes I have to remind you of housework, though. But he didn't even know until after that discussion that I was potentially going to break it off with him.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Like, literally, when she told me that, so we had a really good conversation right before that point where she kind of told me what her concerns were. And I totally, like, compromised, you know, on that, because some of what she was concerned about were habits from, you know, being single and, you know, previously having been in a relationship.
We were both in serious relationships before we met each other.
So
I wanted to make sure there was no attachments to anything in the past.
So, you know, having, you know, sank that, you know, took care of it.
Well, it was weird for me too, because you at the time were still friends with your ex, which is not anything that I had experienced before. I had never stayed friends with an ex, so that was very new for me to navigate.
Yeah, it was a big relationship, but it didn't have like a really like toxic ending.
Unlike mine.
Yeah, which is why, like, even to this day, like, no hard feelings or anything.
That was weird for me though, because I really needed to make sure he was like done. Like, done with that relationship. There was no going back. There was no feelings, nothing. Yeah. And that was going to be the deciding factor for me after that conversation. Because if you were, like, kind of iffy or not sure, I was going to be like, "Hey, see you, pal. Like, this was fun."
I don't know. I was kind of thinking about juggling both of you.
Anyway, so things moved quickly from there. And we dated for exactly 1 year. Yeah. And on our 1 year anniversary, Philip proposed to me at Falls Park, where we had met and gone on that first date, and it was perfect. It was very sweet and romantic.
My so I if you don't mind, I kind of want to talk about that a little bit.
I'm gonna take a sip of water.
So I had this whole plan hatched out, and I had Michaela's sister Maria help me with a lot of this. Maria, if you're listening, total MVP.
She didn't take videos of you proposing though. That's the only thing that bothers me.
She took far away images, but you know what? I'll take it. There's something kind of
sweet about that.
Artistic about it. But anyway, so I was so concerned about the weather. Right. Because I thought it was going to rain. I thought it was going to be cloudy.
It was a beautiful day.
And the day ended up being incredible. I'm like, thank you, God.
Sunshine, blue skies. It was gorgeous.
I, had some gifts for her because I wanted her to think this was a special occasion, but I didn't want her to immediately think that this was the proposal. So I took her out.
I didn't. I really didn't. I had no idea.
Yeah. I took you out for breakfast at a place called Tandem in Travelers Rest.
Yeah, good crepe place if you're in the Greenville area.
It's one of my favorite places to get breakfast anywhere. Yeah. And I'm trying to remember, I got you...
What did you get me?
Oh. I got you, it was a tea set that we had talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like this authentic like Chinese tea set.
We use the little cups as
we still use it to this day. Yeah.
Yeah, like every day.
And then there was something else. What was it?
Are you sure?
I'm almost positive there was one. I remember I got you charms. I got you charms. For your jewelry and stuff. Yeah, because there was a little teapot charm.
They weren't charms. They were earrings, but they were clip-on earrings, so I never wore them because they weren't like real earrings. But I still have them somewhere. Okay. Yeah. They're really cute.
Well, anyway, it was kind of themed around that conversation. And then I had the whole day planned.
Right. Oh, but tell them what I got you.
Oh, Michaela got me. So it was just the bracelet.
Yeah.
It's these little like vibrating pods that fit onto bracelets that you wear around your wrist. And whenever you press them, it will vibrate with another one that it's paired to. So if me and Michaela, because at the time we were doing long distance.
We were actually long distance all throughout our engagement, which was crazy. We were long distance, and I was just so nuts. Looking back now, because I don't think I could do it that way again. We would not recommend that to anybody.
But yeah, that gift, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so sweet. But you only got the band.
Yeah, I never got the like little.
Yeah. To this day, I still have that band.
Do you?
I do.
But I wore
it a lot as just like a little like wrist bracelet, just cause.
Yeah. I think you still do sometimes.
Yeah, the thought of it's just nice.
But I also got that plaque. That's in our bathroom.
Yeah, the constellation plaque.
Yeah,
from our first date.
Yeah, so it's this like Etsy shop where you can choose the location and the date of whatever special event that you want, and I chose our first date, and they make a print of the sky, the constellations that night, or that day, and you can get it printed out on a plaque.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. So it's
pretty awesome.
It's Falls Park in Greenville, like the day that we met. And it's like all the constellations. It's cool.
That's such a good idea for a product.
Yeah, it's cool.
But yeah, and then I'm trying to think. Did we walk around anywhere after that? I don't recall.
No, so I went home.
Yeah, you went home, and I picked you back up later.
You picked me back up for dinner.
Yeah, because you were dressed up for dinner. I told you to
and I kind of wondered if he was going to propose, but I didn't want to get my hopes up just in case he didn't. Yeah.
And then, took you to dinner. Really beautiful
dinner.
place. Unfortunately, I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, the little French place we got.
What is that place called? It's that little restaurant that's like right on the steps when you're coming into Falls Park.
I don't remember. In my head, I just think red tents. It's just the red tent place. And we had champagne.
Yeah.
Just had a beautiful time. And then afterwards, I walked you down closer to the falls. There's a ledge where there's kind of like an elbow that has a half wall built up with sandstones.
Yeah.
We sat there on our very first date and just talked and we're just staring into each other and everything.
Yeah, we liked each other.
Yeah, we liked each other a
lot.
whole
lot. Yeah.
So I took her back there, and this is where Maria comes in.
Right.
So I had her tailing us all the way down, but telling her to, keep a distance.
I never saw her.
Michaela has no idea that you're there.
No
and there
idea.
were a couple times that you were turning your head, and I was
You're like redirecting
afraid that you were going to see her, so I would quickly call out something. I have that
squirrel personality.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, hey, look at that over there. So, and we're sitting there. Maria, she's kind of taking pictures from the distance. I made a poem for you. I wrote a poem.
It was beautiful.
It's probably one of the best things I've ever written. And you were crying, and there was like a moment of like hesitation from you, because I could kind of tell that you were feeling that it was going to be.
Well, this is the thing. After he was done reading the poem, he paused, and it was kind of a hefty pause. Like it was. I had this moment of being like, oh, it's just the poem.
And see, I could see that, but I didn't know that's what it was.
I was like, okay. And I was like mentally going, that was really beautiful. But I was kind of hoping you were going to pull on a ring.
But then I did.
And then he did, yeah. So, and then moving along just for time's sake, we were long distance throughout our entire engagement, which it was not a super long engagement. It was a 6-month engagement, but having been together literally every day up until that point, and then getting engaged, and now he's living somewhere and I'm still living in Greenville. So he had gotten a job that was 2.5 hours away from where we lived at the time.
Yeah.
So he would come and see me every weekend. But that was hard.
It was very difficult.
Yeah, it was really hard to plan a wedding, too.
Well, I would come every Friday or either Thursday afternoon, depending on what days I'm off.
Schedule. Mm-hmm.
And I'd leave every Sunday night.
Yeah.
And that was just really, really difficult, especially at the same time we were planning the wedding.
Right.
So a lot of our time we couldn't allocate to each other because when you are honestly wedding planning, that's not a fun thing.
And guys, I know we are going to talk about some of the things we learned. I think this ties into one of the things that we have learned early on in our marriage. We got married. Okay, and it was beautiful. Everything we did, we're married. Everything went great. And again, we've been married for 2.5 years. It'll be 3 years in October.
Yep.
We got married, and a week later we moved.
Yeah, the lesson there.
Actually, no, it was 5 days later.
Yeah, it was 5 days later.
It wasn't even a week.
The lesson there, to anybody that's planning on making a big move in life, especially whenever there's two people in the mix.
Right.
Don't do it like that.
Don't do it, guys.
Yeah,
don't make that mistake, please.
Don't go from engaged to like fully moved into an entire new place, honeymoon thrown aside and everything in like the course of like 72 hours.
And because of that, we didn't actually have our honeymoon until a year after.
No, we had a mini moon.
So this is the timeline, okay?
Yeah.
After 6 months, we get married.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Edisto Island for 2 nights.
Mm-hmm.
Came home, started packing immediately the next day, like packing up our house, like our apartment. So it was originally Philip's apartment, but I moved in when he was living out of town. So it made sense, but all of our belongings were there. Packed up the entire apartment, took like a day to do that, 2 days maybe, and then did all of the actual moving by ourselves. And it took more than one trip.
Oh yeah.
To fill up that U-Haul.
Me and my brother, those last couple trips.
It was awful.
It was terrible.
It was horrible.
Like, literally at the end of the day, I was so spent. Like, I think like we were like kind of irritated with each other over some stuff because it's just been a stressful day. I got in bed.
And he was in the fetal position.
In a fetal position. Like, crying because I'm just like, my body hurts. I can't sleep, but I'm tired. I'm so done.
It was rough, guys. It was rough. And then not only we're brand new newlyweds, like doing everything together really for the first time. And it is so different after you get married. Like, you can be spending every single day, every hour together while you're dating and even engaged. But once you've got that ring on your finger,
it's a different game.
It's a completely different ball game.
It's a different game. Now, that being said,
your lives are fully merged.
Yes, your lives are fully merged. But that being said, and here's another lesson. Still pursue each other, still date each other.
Absolutely.
Because me and Michaela, there was a period where we got adjusted to things.
Sure.
But especially now, I think it's evident to people that, see us, we still very much date each other.
Very much. Very pro tip right there, 100%.
Yeah. Travel often.
Yeah. But we, after we got settled in, which, I didn't feel settled in for, if I'm being completely honest, 2 years. It's just been in the last 4 to 5 months. And I know that sounds extreme, but we really didn't have a period of adjustment. It was just kind of being thrown into it. And then I was looking for a job. And then I started a job, worked there for 8 or 9 months, quit that job, started another one that was sucking the life out of me. It was a terrible, it was not to be negative, but guys, they say that the first year of marriage is your hardest. Do you feel like that's accurate, Phil?
Yes, I do. I feel like the first year of marriage is hard, and if you haven't figured out, I guess, some of those core mechanics.
What you're doing with your life.
And it carries over. Year 2 is also going to be a little stressful, but if you're a good team, if you communicate, if you put God first and you pray about these things, you will get through it.
And that, I think, has been definitely the key for Philip and I, because, so we're married now, we're in a new place, a place that I'm going to be completely frank and honest, I did not want to be here. I was super rebellious about it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, like, I love Philip, so I would follow Philip anywhere he went. And that's like a non-negotiable.
But that doesn't mean you're like skipping along the way.
But that didn't mean that I was like, oh, I'm going to give up my entire life, my job, my church, my friends. It was hard.
Yeah, it kind of was
really
asking
hard.
a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and we both have grown, though, so much. Not only as a couple, but even individually in some of those struggles, like early on in our marriage. And, God opening doors and then like closing doors or slamming doors shut very quickly.
Yes.
Praying, both of us realizing at some point that we needed to make a change because the area we live in is just not serving us.
Mm-hmm.
And, trying to figure out what that looked like, praying about living in different areas, different opportunities, and feeling like maybe a path is opening up in one direction and then like everything would fall apart, or surviving a hurricane and getting our brand new Ford crushed.
Yeah.
Things like that.
But all that being said, each of those things, even though in the moment that's not what we wanted,
right?
It wasn't the things that we were praying to happen.
In a good way.
All of those things did become fruitful.
Right.
For example, that last example with the car. Well, at the time we were trying to juggle, not to get too much into it, but just different debts.
Yeah, for sure.
Life comes with accumulating debt from time to time.
Right.
And that car, we still owed on that car.
Yeah.
That was our biggest debt.
Right.
And we lost that car, and
it felt like a tragedy at the moment.
Yeah, it felt like a tragedy, but insurance took care of it, and now our debts are so much smaller.
Right. So looking at like little things, obviously it wasn't little, it was a big thing, but things like that, and seeing how God literally took that away from us, and it felt like such a huge loss at the time.
And here's the thing: if that wouldn't have happened, now the new phase of life that you're in, where you're able to take advantage of more time to pursue house cleaning,
be self-employed,
and all these other things that you need for your mental and spiritual health.
Right, absolutely.
Couldn't be prioritized.
No. I mean, would you agree that I think the biggest what got us through a lot of those difficult times was just communication?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even if we were like absolutely furious with one another, because in the moment,
and that's real life, guys. No marriage is perfect.
Yeah. No. Whenever I say that, I'm not saying that as if we keep like a a score system on one another, but whenever someone is maybe a little irritable because in the moment they're not.
Healthy communication though is everything.
If in the moment you're not receiving what you feel like your partner should be giving you, there is going to be some tension. Mm-hmm. We have done a good job at working around that.
Well, and learning what is a preference and what is a need.
Yeah. Something we actually learned from a church we visited. Yeah. Great conversation from, it was actually a marriage.
It was a
marriage testimony, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah. And it was, which are the things worth actually making a conversation about, not because you want to win, not because you're trying to insult, but because it's a legitimate concern. If it's a preference and it's something that's becoming a very toxic indicator of wanting to be those other things, it's not important.
Right.
It's not important. And if both of you admit that, it gets a heck of a lot easier to actually get to the point of stuff.
I can make a huge deal, and I have it at points, I can admit that, but I could really make a huge deal about you leaving your shoes under the coffee table.
Yep.
And that could be, and he's working on it, guys. I did have to move them once last week.
I'm doing a lot better.
He's working on it. But that is a preference. But where compromise comes in is Philip realizing that it's important to me. And even though it may not be as important to him or he's not thinking about it at the time, the compromise comes down to, okay, but it bothers Michaela, so consciously remembering to just put the shoes up.
Typically when it comes to preferences, trying to find some amount of compromise is the best way to go.
I would say the things that we have learned and are still learning is communication.
Yep.
Compromise. Communicate. Once you get frustrated, also I think walking away from the situation, not in anger, but taking a break from the situation is important. It's imperative.
Yeah.
And then when you're able to, calmly come back together and then find compromise in that communication.
But one thing I'll say to the guys out there, and I'll keep it quick.
Oh dear.
No,
I'm scared.
Whenever, she's frustrated and where it feels like walking away is the best way to go. If it feels like you're doing that because you're trying to protect something in yourself, do not pursue that. Reevaluate the situation.
Wow.
If
That's
your
really good.
if your wife, if your spouse in that moment, if they're walking away and you feel like maybe they feel the same way, you got to nip it in the bud. They may, want that quiet time, but in that quiet time, they may take that frustration and turn it into a different argument later.
A lot of times, sometimes I just need a hug.
Yeah, it's worth not actually walking away when you feel like it's at that point and trying to maybe not resolve it completely, but just remind them that, hey, you're there, that you want to listen, you want to, meet at the table, and you don't want things to get out of hand because at the end of the day, it's you and me.
Well, and always, don't ever go to bed angry.
No, we've never done that.
Always apologize. Yeah. If you know that your spouse is frustrated about something, even if you don't feel like you did anything wrong, always apologize and don't get defensive.
Yeah.
Because defensiveness, there's something really, really beautiful about being able to stop and stand back from the situation and look at what the other person is feeling and say, okay, I didn't mean that.
Yeah, be a little intuitive.
But I see that it hurt you. I'm sorry for hurting you. It was not my intention to hurt you. And I think also like explaining what you're apologizing for is good too. Yeah. Just being like, oh, I'm sorry. I mean, those are words, but actually saying like, I know for me, I take a lot of value in anybody, not just in a marriage relationship, but actually saying like, I did not realize that I hurt you. I am sorry for making you feel that way. Your feelings in that situation are valid.
When you say that to me in the heat of the moment, it completely de-escalates everything. Whenever I say that to you, same thing.
So true.
And guys, whenever you apologize to your woman, don't sit there and say, oh, I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Just because you want to shut them up because they're crying or whatever.
Yeah, what you're doing is that you're trying to jam a cork down their throat because you're tired of listening to a thing. And that's a sign of a negative complex in yourself.
Yeah. I would say in addition to compromise and communication, like Philip said earlier, continue to date each other.
Yes.
We don't even plan. I mean, we do plan dates, but I would say 90% of our dating is just because we like to hang out together so much. So one of us might wake up and be like, hey, let's do this thing. And then it turns into a date because while we're out, we're like, let's grab some food or let's grab some coffee or let's go see this music, live music,
No, exactly. Well, I mean, we can't even help going to Sprouts without making it like some kind of romantic comedy.
It's true. I mean, it also helps that you're married to me and that I'm a walking character from a romantic comedy anyway, with all
you are quite a
insane
character.
Things that happen to me all the time. I'm either spilling something or tripping over something or twisting my ankle
from all these tragedies left and right. It's crazy. I'm Prince Charming to an insane degree.
One of the things that I've always said about Philip that I will always continue to say, and the main reason I married him, is that Philip is my safe place. He is my rock. And I tend to be all over the place sometimes with my emotions, as I'm sure you can affirm. And Philip, he centers me, he gets me, and he doesn't judge me.
No.
Ever. He doesn't judge me. That's huge. I was used to, in past relationships, being judged for simply having an emotion. And we work together. We work together pretty good on that. That goes back to communication. Yeah. But dating each other is really important. Traveling together is really important. Yes. working on projects together is really important.
Oh yeah, that's been one of my favorite things with the podcast. It's something that I get to do with you.
Right.
And for people that know me a little more personally, I love just being creative.
Yeah, he's the producer. Completely.
I am like the tool expert when it comes to software and all kinds of stuff.
Right.
I love doing that. If I'm not hanging out with you, I'm at the gym or I'm working on stuff like that.
Well, and talking about doing things together, Philip and I, we have a lot of different interests.
Yes.
And that was something that we learned to navigate very quickly. We were able to find a middle ground on what we both like to do. So like we figured out we both like horror movies.
Oh yeah.
We both love horror movies.
We got through all the
good
ones.
We both love movies in general. We're like super nerds about certain things. Philip a little bit more so than me, but like
we have conversations about particular actors.
Yes,
like we're deep.
Yes, yeah. Things that we can do together. Like we both love coffee, so obviously we go to coffee shops. We both
That's a deep passion.
It's a deep passion. I kind of got Philip more so on the traveling train.
She did.
Because he had done some traveling, but not extensive
Nothing
traveling.
like going to Cleveland by car or going to New Orleans.
Well, or going out of the country for your first time.
That's true, yeah.
And our honeymoon.
Yeah.
Went on a Disney cruise, by the way, for our honeymoon. It was epic. I think maybe we need to come back on here and talk about that. So Disney sponsors us. Disney sponsors us for another cruise.
There you go. Walmart, Disney, yeah, there we go.
We've got a good lineup happening here.
Yeah.
Real quick before we go ahead and wrap this up, what is your takeaway after 2.5 years of marriage that you can what is like the biggest thing that you have learned personally?
I think that if you ever feel ill-equipped in your relationship for something, they always say prayer works.
Yeah.
But I mean it really, whenever you prioritize your prayer life, when you actually ask God to make you wiser, make you more capable, He will do it. Because I have become those things.
Yeah.
And I'm still working on those things in all humility.
Right. Find a man that cooks. No, I'm just joking. That's not the biggest thing I learned. Philip's basically the chef around here, and it's epic.
I like cooking.
I cooked last night, and I'm cooking tonight, though, so I'm stepping up my game.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, he's got to edit this baby and get this out for tomorrow. But
that's right.
I concur. I think prayer is the biggest, most. It is the thing that changes everything.
Yes.
On
another note, there are some things more intimate in a relationship that do get better over time.
Oh, yeah, that's another discussion for another time. Maybe we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's your prelude to something.
Oh, dear. Okay.
Something a little personal.
Yeah. But I agree that prayer works. There was a lot of time I had to take for myself to pray over certain things that I was really, really struggling with, especially when we first moved. Just coming to understand like where Philip was in this journey. Not make it all about myself. Because it was very easy for me to sit there and be like, I'm not the one that got the job. I'm not the one that wanted to move. I'm not the one that wanted any of these things. But realizing that ultimately he is the leader of our relationship. Biblically, he's the leader. And that doesn't mean, and I feel like that is also opening up another discussion, that doesn't mean that the man in the relationship is like some like warlord or like a dictator.
I'm not a dictator,
no.
But I'm happy to lead the way.
Philip doesn't ever tell me what I need to do, ever.
Well, the only time that I do that, though, is whenever you are in a position where you need that.
Well, yeah, there are exceptions.
And when I say need that, I'm not saying because I look at her and I see something that I don't like. No.
Right.
What I mean is I see you in a moment of like frustration with yourself, and because I see you for who I truly, believe you to be.
Mm-hmm. But I also do that to you.
I can say, hey,
yeah,
this thing, your priorities maybe aren't straight. Let's tackle it a different way.
Don't you agree that's something that we share?
Yes,
because I'll
absolutely.
do that with you as well.
Yes.
And that
Understand
accountability,
your partner,
that accountability and knowing like, hey, you're doing this one thing, and this usually means you need to go on a walk,
Yeah.
or you're doing this one thing, you need to maybe go talk to Jesus about it for a while. And we do that. We bounce off each other.
It takes a lot of humility, honestly. But
Yeah.
if you're willing to sit there and take it in, it's all good.
Right.
It's all coming from a good place.
Yeah. So guys, we're gonna wrap this up today. This was actually a lot of fun. Thanks, Philip, for joining me.
Absolutely. I hope to be back soon.
If you enjoy this type of episode, which, I mean, come on, how couldn't you? Like, Philip's, he's great. He's a great conversationalist.
I mean, I think the host is pretty awesome. I can't get enough of her.
Let us know if Philip should be a regular on Mindful Scrolling. And, baby, can you help me come up with a better tagline? Because my tagline's just not doing it. We'll discuss that later.
Okay.
It's not doing it. And, guys, if you have ideas for a tagline, send me a message, write me a comment. Don't forget to like this episode and subscribe. Please share the link to Mindful Scrolling with your friends and family. We would love to hear from more of you. And we hope that you have a lovely rest of your day.
Take care, guys.
Bye.